Dark Souls 3 specifically. Hello everybody, my name is Yuri, and welcome to, oh my god, I'm not even recording it. Welcome to the tier list making. I am making this video for one of two reasons. One is for one person specifically, and two, because I want to see if I actually enjoy making these kinds of videos. I guess only time will tell. Oh no! So what we are doing today is we are ranking the Dark Souls 3 bosses all the way from the base game all the way to the DLC, the Ashes of Endel, whatever the hell the last one was. The Frozen Kingdom, whatever it is. And so basically what we're going to be doing, what I'm going to be doing actually, is I'm going to be naming all of these, talking about them, and then also giving a nickname to them so that anybody who does not know anything about Dark Souls can at least get the idea of what the boss fight is, so that you don't really have to just like look at it and like guess. I'll like give like a synonym or like I said, a nickname for them so that you can at least understand what the hell they actually do in the fight. So let's begin, shall we? We have the Abyss Watchers, or as I like to call it, Twitter, where everybody hates each other and everybody wants to kill each other. So the Abyss Watchers is a fight where you go up against one lad who looks like this guy down here. I'll probably put some pictures up for reference as well to like make them bigger. But it starts with one lad who tries to kill you, and then the gimmick of the fight for the first stage is that they all rise from the dead and they all start trying to fight you. They start trying to fight your friends. They fight each other. Basically, you have to find the main dude and then kill him. And then in the second phase, he gets the power of fire, which is super fucking cool, actually. The fight is really fun. The way that they look, the armor set is very, very cool. And honestly, I love this boss fight. It's a very, very fun boss fight because it's very, like, situational awareness 101. I know a lot of these bosses are the exact same thing as well, with situational awareness, like the Deacons of the Deep. But we're not there yet. We're not going to talk about that. So with Abyss Watchers, I honestly really do like it. It's definitely not my favorite by any means, but I will definitely give it a solid B because I like fighting them, especially when I fight him my own way. For example, if I'm not doing a specific run, if I'm just like running through the game normally, Abyss Watchers is very high up there because it's just fun. It's just a fun boss fight, to be honest. Eldritch Devourer of Gods, or as I like to call it, the Worm Archer. His whole gimmick is that he has a relatively big arena. I mean, all of them do, but he has a relatively big arena, but he's also able to teleport and also be able to shoot arrows that last way too fucking long. And then after you get to their second stage, if you would, they gain the ability of fire, which is a very common thing in these boss fights, you'll find out. And then they just do more damage after that. A few more attacks. And they also have, I believe it's called I don't think it's called a lance, but it's like it's a giant stick that has like a curved blade at the end. I don't know what the hell that thing is called, but Eldritch uses that along with a bow and arrow. Okay, boss fight. It's not my favorite by any means. It's kind of cool. It's a weird spectacle because of all the, like, how it looks. And like if you're into lore, then like what happens to Eldritch? I'm not the lore guy, so I'm not gonna even try. But it's a really cool looking boss fight. However, mechanical wise and actually fighting him is a little bit kind of cattywampus. So I'm gonna give it a C because it's not the worst possible boss fight in the world. But at the same time, it's not super fun either. Like, I love the Abyss Watchers because it's a cool fight. It's a 1v1 with a dude your size. And that's already by itself like a From Software staple. When they're your size, it's probably gonna be a harder boss fight. The Ancient Wyvern. Wyvern. I don't know how to say that clearly. This is along with a handful of other ones. Yeah, I would like to call them what I like to call a gimmick fight, where there's one way to kill them. And it is the best and easiest and probably the way you're supposed to kill them. They have a weak spot, which is why it's a gimmick fight. And as soon as you find it, you destroy it, you get to it, and then like the fight's over. For spectacle, very cool. Giant fucking dragon. I love that. I love dragons. They're very fucking cool. That's all I have to say. It's just a giant dragon. You don't fight him per se. You can beat the shit out of him if you have the patience, but the whole point of the fight is so that you drop from a certain platform, stab him in the brain, literally, and then that's the fight. That's literally it. You don't. He goes from literally 100% health to 0 as soon as you do that. But he's very strong. He can, I believe, one-shot you. I believe, anyway. He's got range with his fire. He's just a huge honking boy. And it's just, like I said, a gimmick fight. So it's mainly for the look and the spectacle rather than the actual mechanic. So by that default, it's not at all the best, because there's a lot of bosses on here that are great fights because you actually have to fight them, rather than just like find their weak spot and then they're done. So that's also going to be a C for me because I love dragons, so that already bumps it up immediately bumps it up. It's a lot of fun. Champion Gravetender, or as I would like to call it, I guess the giant puppy. I like, there's no way around it. If anybody has ever played a Dark Souls game or have seen a Dark Souls game, they would probably know what it is to fight the dogs. No one likes the dogs. I don't know a single person who likes fighting them, because they're fast, they're relentless as hell, and they do not let go of you. That being said, they are also very weak. Not this dog in particular, but just thinking dogs in general. So I would honestly say that this boss fight, if I remember correctly, which I believe I do, it's okay. It's a giant fucking dog. Like, at the end of the day, it's a giant fucking dog. That's basically it. It's a giant dog. There's also a dude. I don't know why they didn't also put the guy in, but there's a dude, and then the dog comes in after, I believe, you weaken him or kill him. And then the puppy comes in, then you have to fight 2v1. Or if you have a friend or NPC, then you obviously fight them. But regardless of that, I honestly say it's a D because it's a giant dog. It's just a giant dog. I love the little bastard because he's a puppy, and I love puppies. But in terms of fighting a boss, he's not that exciting. It's just a dog at the end of the day. Champion Gundyr, or as I like to call him, the martial arts expert. He is a really good boss fight. He is really fucking good. Because Index Gundyr over here on the right side, if you see my little mouse hole, he's the exact same boss, except not as powerful and not as, I believe, unpredictable. I don't know about unpredictable, but he's a lot more difficult to fight because he has a lot more moves. He has a larger moveset than Index. I love him. I love fighting Gundyr. Even if I'm super overpowered, I still love him because the idea of fighting a boss, the literal first boss that you fight, that you're like, oh, I'm gonna kick his ass, I'm gonna wipe the floor with him, and then he just shows up with a brand new moveset and just wipes the fucking floor with you. I love that. I fucking love that. He definitely humbles somebody who has just started playing Dark Souls and has that mentality of like, oh, I fought this guy before, this is gonna be easy. Or like, I'm a lot stronger now and I fought him in the beginning, so I know what he has to do, I know what he has to offer. But no, Champion Gundyr just like is like, nah mate, I'm about to fuck shit up, dog. I'm about to absolutely show you the town. And I love that. I genuinely do love that about Champion because he's a very humbling boss, especially if you if you haven't played the game yet. So solid A for Gundyr, and I like him for that. Crystal Sage, or as I like to call it, the magic bitch. She is a ranged with close range, but usually the close range is not what you have to worry about. She clones. The clones can die in one hit, but I feel like just the fact that there are clones is like the issue. Do I like the Crystal Sage? Fighting her? Not really. I don't like fighting. And also, if I misgender these, I'm sorry. I don't really care. They're monsters. I don't know. Back to what I was saying. She's not super fun to fight because I just don't like the fact that I don't like bosses that teleport away. That's personally me. I don't like bosses that after you do a certain amount of damage, not even a first or second phase, just literally like, oh, you're doing damage to me, I'm going to disappear now. I hate that. It really kills the mood. It really like, okay, well, now where are you gonna go? And then the fact that she also has clones makes it just annoying as well, because it's like, okay, there was one and now there's 7 that equally do the same amount of damage as the main bitch. So from that alone, and the fact that I just don't even like her character design, she's okay to look at, but there's a lot more other ones that I much prefer to look at. Like a dragon, perhaps. So for that, it's also going to get a D. It's not F. There's only a few... Let me look at this. I don't think there's going to be any Fs. Nah, there's not going to be any Fs. Not to, like, spoil anything, but there's not going to be any Fs on this list. Because I just like all of these bosses. They're really just fun to fight. But just, obviously, some are better than others. But next, Dancer of the Boreal Valley, or the Ballerina. The Deadly Ballerina. I like that. The Deadly Ballerina. The Dancer is a very swift and agile boss who's very large and very powerful, as all of these bosses are. The only thing about her gimmick, if you would, is that she's very fast and she's also very, like, weirdly, bendy. Like, a lot of her attacks are, like, all, like, graceful as fuck, swift, like, kind of like that. And then in her second phase, she gets a second sword, which is already a problem and a half, because there was already one before. She's really cool. She's an amazing... I believe the music is great with her. I have to listen back to it. But great music, a solid looking boss. The design is very, very cool. You can get all of these bosses' armors, by the way, in case anybody's wondering. You can get every single boss's armor except for a few of them, which I will get to. But the swords are not very good. The swords are not very good when it comes to... Well, I should have done that, but it's already too late. After you kill each main boss, like a story boss, you get an ability to trade their soul out for a weapon. And a lot of these... I don't think the dragon gives you anything, but a lot of these give you that ability. The Abyss Watchers, for example, you get their sword. Crystal Sage, you can get magic, so on and so forth. The Dancer, you can get her swords. And they're not good. Period. They're really fun to use, and they're really cool to look at, but they are not good to use, unfortunately. I tried using them with Tessa, a friend of mine, who also is a huge Dark Souls fanatic, and it didn't work. Didn't work out at all. But as a matter of a boss fight and fighting her, she's really cool. She's a B for me. She's a solid B. Deacons of the Deep, Mr. Cuck. The senior Cuck himself. He's got a technical 2 stages. One stage is there's an orb that is inhabiting, I believe is the word, a priest, or an enemy, if you would, in the boss fight. And then after you kill him, it moves to another one, so on and so forth. And then the deacon himself comes out, and then you just kill him. You just straight up murder him. I hate this boss fight. I really hate this boss fight. It's cool because I thought about it, and I also watched a handful of videos in the past because I love Vati and I love Zuli the Witch. And I do like the fact that the idea of the entire cathedral of the Deep is empty, except for, like, let's say 20 priests. There's nobody in the area, except, like, enemy-wise. Like, there's obviously enemies, but then there's also other lads. And then you go into the boss fight, and just everybody's there. Just that sight of just everybody's there. Like, there are way too many bastards in this area. That's really cool. That's a really cool visual to walk in on. Is just, like, everybody in front of this giant fucking grave. A tomb, if you would. And from that alone, it's cool. It's a bump up. However, the boss fight is very kind of It's kind of niche. Not very fun. It's a D. It's a solid D. And I know I'm talking a lot, but I have a lot to say because I love this game. Old Demon King. Oh, man. Mr. Fire Grandpa himself. He's got a fire hammer. He's got a big old fire hammer club. And he is, I believe, in the lore aspect, one of the final, like, kings in the game, in his area where he lives. And there is a very specific scene. I hope I can grab a little snippet, but there is a very specific scene where if you get him very close to death, he will do a final attack that is a huge chunk of damage. Like, it can one-shot you, I believe. But it's like a giant AoE ground attack. And then after that, he literally cannot move. He can attack you technically, but he's like weakened. He's like on all fours. He's just like practically just like using the weapon to keep himself up. He is on his literal last foot, and it's really sad. It's really sad knowing that like that was his literal final attempt at killing you and saving himself, and it failed. And then he's just like writhing in defeat, basically. And it's a little sad. I honestly, when I saw that the first time, I actually felt bad. It's one of the few bosses that I actually felt bad for. But regardless of that, he's an okay boss fight. He's got a lot of fire attacks. He's got range, and he's got close range. And from the sheer fact that he actually elicits an emotional response out of me, he's a C-worthy fight. He's not super cool to fight. He's a cool design, but he's not super fun. He's just a boss fight that you walk in on and fight. Unlike, you know, let's say Dark Eater, which is a whole other story. Demon Prince, the duo combo boys. I don't know why. Oh, that is true. It's the two of them and then they come the prince. Okay, yeah. So yeah, this boss fight consists of two lads. You drop in, which is a very cool scene, by the way. You literally fall from a cliff all the way down into this giant fucking arena. And I love that already, so that already has some points. But it starts off with two lads, and you best summon somebody or you're gonna have a bad time. Just to make obviously life easier. But you start with two lads. Both of them have their each own attack, and it's kind of like, it's not like going to the end mode at all. Never mind. But you have to kill both of them. And the gimmick of this fight is that the last one that you kill is the one that the Demon Prince fight inherits mostly, which I think is really cool. The fact that the final boss is determined by who you kill is really cool. I very much enjoy that aspect and that kind of boss fight. It's very fun. As a boss fight, it's very annoying. I will admit, it's one of the few fights I don't actually like because it's as of how annoying it is. It's a long boss fight. They're very, very powerful. They're very strong too in terms of health. They have a lot of health, and then you have to fight them again with a full bar of health. So it feels like a chore, and I hate to say that, but it really feels like a chore, and it's not super fun to fight. But I do love the gimmick, and I do love the entrance. It's very, very cool. Dragon Slayer armor is going into A, because I have a huge bias on this. I love the weapon. I love the armor. He's super fucking cool. The boss fight itself is very badass because he's a huge, just monster of armor that has been, I believe, inhabited by a soul of some sort. I could be totally wrong, and I probably am, but that's fine, because I like to talk. But he's very powerful. He has lightning, which is already very cool. I like lightning and fire. And he has a pretty cool looking boss arena because there are dragons that are like on both sides of you that are also trying to kill you as well, like halfway through the boss fight. But it's a nice spectacle. It's a really, really nice, just cool looking design of a boss, and he's powerful. Like, as soon as you learn him, he's very fun because I believe he's like a 1 or 2 shot. If he hits you, like, you better watch out because he will fuck you up. But if you master him, much like a lot of these, if you master him, it's so much fun. It's such a cool looking boss fight. Sister Frayed, the father-daughter combo. Yes, the Mrs. Won't Die. Oh man, I have a video on my YouTube about her, specifically killing her, like the final 10 seconds. And holy shit. For the longest time, I did not like Sister Frayed because of how obnoxious, quote-unquote, it is to have 3 stages. I've never seen that before in a boss fight, and now that I think about it, even Elden Ring doesn't have that. Even Elden Ring doesn't have that. Even Bloodborne doesn't have that. Like, the closest thing that Sister Freyed 3 stages is the 3 boss fight, the 3 Shadows of Yharnam in Bloodborne. But regardless, she's very cool. She's very cool. She definitely tests the limits of your skill, because not only is she very, very strong, but she has a lot of health. She has a first stage by herself, which already you can die to immediately. Then her second stage is Big Papa Smurf comes into the party and is like, "Oh, you fucking killed my daughter!" Or something like that. And then he awakens her, and then you have to fight him, and you have to fight her, and they both have full health bars again. And then as soon as you kill them again, she is like, "I'm not done. I ain't done. You haven't killed me yet. I'm the queen, bitch, around here." And so she gets revived again with Blackfire, which is not only really cool looking, but she is also way more agile. She has a lot more attacks, and that's the best part about it, as I believe every single phase of hers is a separate moveset, I believe anyway. It's very cool, very fun, and I can appreciate the boss fight. I don't like the 3 stages, which is why it's not an A, but it's still I can very much appreciate this boss fight. The Curse Rotted Greatwood. Oh, Ball Sack King. This is what I can call him, is the Ball Sack King. Because if anybody's ever fought him, he literally has his legs spread out, and there is a fucking sack that you have to kill. You have to destroy it. A hand comes out of it later, which is fun. But yeah, it's also kind of a gimmick boss fight where you can't kill him upright, I believe. Yeah, you can't kill him upright with hitting him. You have to hit the little balls that are around his body, which are very obvious, thankfully. Thank you, developers, for that. He's not pretty to look at. He's not my favorite boss at all at the fight. I don't really have much to say about him because he's honestly just not very fun to fight. You kill him. Sorry, you destroy a handful of his ball sacks, and then he falls through the ground. You come along with him. A hand grows out of his crotch, which is very fun to find. And then you just kind of do the same thing over again. So, not super fun, not super great. He's okay. He would be F if I didn't appreciate, like, the change in scenery. I always like a boss fight that changes the scenery. That's just a personal thing of mine. So we got that going for us. Half-Light Spear of the Church. Mr. Oh, what nickname should I give you? Mr. Calls for Help. Mr. Can't Do It Himself. There we go. So this boss fight is also a gimmick, but at the same time it's not. Because if you're offline, you fight him and then you fight a giant. Like a giant priest or something like that. A guy in a robe. But if you're online, Half-Light Spear actually summons a real player to fight you. You have to fight him, and you have to fight a random player that's just in the world playing Dark Souls 3. And that's the boss fight. I love that. I love the online aspect and also the offline aspect. You don't have to be online to experience this fight fully. It's definitely not the same, of course, fighting 2 NPCs over an actual human being. I love that. I really like that. Already because of the fact that it's like, you're gonna actually fight somebody. I like that a lot. But at the same time, it's just like two human fights. It's nothing like grandiose. It's nothing like the ancient. No, sorry, like the Dancer or the Abyss Watchers or the Champion Gundyr, where it's like this very intricate move set that's very cool looking and super powerful. No, it's just a dude. It's just a dude. He may be more powerful. He may be even less powerful. But like, it's just like, hey, we summoned this random dude from online. Go fight him along with this NPC. So with that alone, it's a C. It's definitely not super fun because you can definitely, I don't know if you can get a hacker, but I'm willing to bet you totally could get a hacker like that. Index Gundyr is a B just immediately because he's the first boss in the game. He lets you know immediately how this game's going to go and what to expect because he is also like Champion Gundyr, except he's first. Index is first, like I said. He's got a cool moveset. He's got grapples. He's got a lot of range. And he also teaches you about a very valuable lesson about using your items. Because Index Gundir's first stage is just you fighting him. And then he I'm got hiccups. Oh my god. In the middle of a video, how embarrassing. But he also transforms into this giant goo monster. And before that, if you look around, you get fire bombs. And then you kind of put two and two together. Like, goo, fire, will this work? And then if you try that, then you realize, like, oh shit, fire does a lot of damage to this boss. So then you remember that forever. For whenever, if you ever play this again, like, okay, when I start a new game, I just throw fire at him. And then he dies easily. It's a very good teacher. It's a solid teacher. Then again, you can obviously just, like, beat the crap out of him. I'm a tank myself, so that's exactly what I do. But the fact that it basically teaches a player, like, use your inventory. You got stuff, use your shit. There's no reason to just hoard everything, even though I absolutely do that. Solid beginning, solid fight. I love the teaching aspect, and it's very good. I just like it a lot. Dark Eater Mimir, or actually fighting a real fucking dragon this time. He is not my favorite because he's very, 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 very hard. He's a bullet sponge. I think he's the biggest bullet sponge in this entire game, next to maybe Gale. But he's a fucking dragon. You're fighting a fucking dragon. Just point, period, whatever. You're fighting a dragon. That's cool. He's very tanky. He's a huge health bar. He does a lot of damage, and he moves like a fucking train. So that's definitely, like, a very, very hard thing to learn, because, for me at least, he is very hard. I am not good at fighting him. I have beaten him, I believe, once or twice only. I loved it because I was fighting a dragon, but he's just not what I would like to call my favorite boss, because, like, this is just so annoying. It's just so annoying. So he gets a B for literally just fighting a dragon, and I like that. Nameless King. Oh, Dragon Rider. Oh, Mr. Dragon Rider. He's cool. He is definitely another skillful boss, because he, especially if you're a giant greatsword wielder, he's gonna be a challenge for you, because his first stage is he's riding a dragon. He's on a dragon, and he lands, and then you kill the dragon. You bonk him on his head. You beat the crap out of him. But he also attacks you while riding the dragon, and then the dragon hurts you as well. After you kill the dragon, he jumps off like a baller, stabs the dragon, and then he's suddenly electrified. He has the power of electricity on his side now, which is unfortunate. He's a very skillful boss because he's fast. He's very fast. And he's very strong. Like, those two combos is very dangerous in Dark Souls. His moveset is very diverse. He has the range of lightning, and then he has just the sheer power of just being a baller. By that alone, he gets a B. I don't like him because I am a great sword wielder. I love the big, beefy sword, so I can get one swing off him before he tries to attack me again, whereas other people can probably hit him for a lot more. That's a personal reason, so, like, don't think that he's, like, a pushover. He is not a pushover. He will absolutely run you for your money, and I respect him for that. I respect him for being like, you have to be good in order to beat me. You have to get good. And I like that. All of these as well, but he very, very much as well. Osiris the Consumed King, or as I like to call him, the Angry Daddy. He is, I believe, another dragon who is underneath an area, like a side on the church. Yes, a side on the church, like underneath an area. And he's a frost. He's got frost breath, I believe. He's not super exciting. He keeps talking about his little ocelot. Oh, ocelot, where have you gone? I don't really know anything else about him. His moveset is kind of okay. His boss fight alone is kind of okay. He's just like a lesser dragon fight. If Midir is like a top tier dragon fight, he's definitely a D. He's definitely a D. Not an F, he's a D. The fact that he's a dragon bumps him up. I'll be totally honest. Pontiff Sullivan. Now, this guy is... I don't want to say he's Tessa's favorite for the reason she thinks, but the fact that she can parry him. I don't parry in Dark Souls games, period. I don't parry, except for Bloodborne, because that's a gun, and it's easy. I don't know why. But if you can master parrying this guy, he's a very easy fight. But if you're a tank like me, he's very hard. His first stage is him alone with the 2 swords, as you can see, probably, hopefully. And he's got a very cool, diverse moveset. He's a solid-looking boss to begin with. He's cool, he's fast, he's powerful, as a lot of all of them are. But his second phase is that he summons a basically double of himself. Solid, very cool. Not gonna lie, he's very, very cool. But at the same time, he's not epic to fight. Which is what makes him a C, is that he, for example, the Abyss Watchers and the Nameless King and Sister Freyed, they're all spectacles, but also good fights. Whereas Pontiff is like, it's okay, it's cool, but at the same time, I'm not wowed after fighting him. If anything, I have that feeling of like, okay, it's over, it's done. Whereas Abyss Watchers, I'm like, oh, that was so fucking cool. Or Champion Gundyr is like, that was so fucking cool. He just doesn't have that. Pontiff doesn't have that for me personally. He looks badass as hell, but that's all he's got going for him. Slave Knight Gale, or the fool, the jester, if you would. He is the entrance to one of the DLCs in the area. You will find him with a bunch of messages that say finger butthole. If you see it, you will understand. But he is very, very amazing. He is phenomenal. He is what I would like to call the pinnacle of spectacle fights, because his first stage, already from the beginning, you're like, wait, I'm fighting him? Because he helps you from the beginning. Like, he literally is a helper NPC you can summon for a lot of boss fights. He's very beefy. For an NPC, he's very beefy, and he's very strong. He's a super good help. And then at the end, after you do the whole story, you fight him, and he is much bigger. He is much beefier. His moveset is awesome. And then on the second stage, he gets lightning, and he has this glowing red aura, which I don't know if you can see up here, but he's able to explode skulls off of him. A lot of you who play Elden Ring may know from the Fell Omens. He'll explode the black and yellow spirit orbs that chase you. He does the exact same thing, except they're red and black. Very fucking cool. Huge spectacle. Huge on skill and fight, because he is a very hard boss. And it's such a joy to fight him, because he's scary. He's one of the few bosses I'm scared to fight because of how scary he is. And I love that. I love it when a boss fight can do that. Soul of Cinder, or Mr. Multitool. Soul of Cinder is a solid ending to Dark Souls 3. I don't know if he's definitely not the best boss ever, but he's cool. I believe he's the cover of Dark Souls 3. Yeah, he's not. Yeah, because it's not your character. It's not one of your classes. He is the cover of the Dark Souls 3 box, and it's very, very solid because he has a long-range weapon. He's got a lance, a spear, if you would. He's got a spear, he's got a curved sword, and he's got a straight sword. He's solid swinging for the straight sword. The curved sword, he gets very acrobatic, and he's able to literally do backflips. He's able to run very fast and leap very large distances. And then with the spear, he just has range. He has lightning as well, which is also a problem. And he's got grab attacks too. He's a solid spectacle because the way that you enter the boss fight is that you enter, and then there's like the dark sign, the dark sigil sign. If you open your menu, you'll see it. But you can see that, and then like the giant beam, red beam, just like is on him, obviously in the background, but it's on him in the perspective, and it's just super cool. He's a B because he's multi-use. He has different weapons, and he's just a really cool boss to look at and fight. Super hard? Not. If you fight him enough, you get it. You learn his moveset, much like all of these, but you get it a lot faster than others, because if you don't have the DLCs, for example, Sister Freyed and Dark Ear Midir are going to be way more difficult than the Soul of Cinder, because you will always fight the Soul of Cinder. You won't always have to fight the other ones, because he is the final boss, period. Twin Princes. Easy A. Easy A for the fact that it's a 2-stage brotherly love. I can't hate on brotherly love. And it's a beefy brother with a smart other brother. I have no idea how actually smart the homeboy with the sword is, but he has a very cool weapon. It's a flaming sword, and it's fucking baller as hell. The fight is very nice because it's a clash between, you have to watch out for magic and close range simultaneously, because they will not let you breathe. Like, homeboy will not let you breathe, and I love that about him. If you kill the big brother before you kill the little brother, he just respawns. He just respawns him. You have to kill the little brother for both of them to die. Which I think is actually pretty cool, because it extends the boss fight so that you don't just kill the big brother and then it's like, oh, the little brother who can't really do anything. Because the whole gimmick is that he rides on top of the big brother, like he rides on his shoulder and then shoots magic at you. And that's really cool. I love that. The ever looming threat of, I have to not only watch out for the giant sword, but also magic getting shot in my face. Very cool boss fight. It's a cool spectacle as well, because he can teleport, but he doesn't teleport from danger. He teleports to fuck you up. And I can always appreciate that. So yeah, solid A. And it's the second to final boss, which is always a lot of fun, because it's like, okay, everything's coming to a close. It means a lot. And their castle is so... Lothric Castle, beautiful. Such a beautiful castle. But that is besides the point. I want to do a list about the areas, but that's for another time. Lord of the Boreal Valley, Mr. Ice Puppy himself. Or Ice Bull, or something like that. Definitely with his moveset. He's not super amazing. He's a big boy. He's a big puppy. He's a big puppy with an ice hammer. He's not, like I said before, he's not incredibly amazing, but he's also a solid boss fight because he's in the beginning. He's a beginning boss fight, and it's also another instance of showing the player this is a completely other boss compared to the other one. Expect variety, expect differences in every single boss, which I can always appreciate. Like, the first one didn't have anything, Index didn't have anything, and then this one is like Frost. There are now afflictions that you can have on your character, so be careful for that. Not my favorite. Solid beginning, not my favorite though, so a solid C. High Lord Wolnir, Mr. Bling Boy himself, rocking them golds, you know what I'm saying, in that crown. He's a D. He's a D. He's another gimmick boss fight, much like the ancient Wyvern. In the sense of the giant glowing bracelets that he has is his gimmick. You destroy those. There's only 3 of them. You destroy those, he loses. That's the end of the boss fight. He's a huge skelly boy with a lot of attacks and a sword. So he's really cool to look at, but that's all that he's got going for him. He's definitely not my favorite. Whenever I have to fight him, it's like, okay, I know what I gotta do. Just let me get it over with so I can move on. And I hate that that's how I view him, but that's kind of just all he is that he's a really cool looking boss with 3 hit points, and that's it. Like, that's about it. So sorry, Wolnir, but also not sorry. You should be better. And the final one, Yorm the Giant. This is my favorite giant. Like, in terms of all the big boys, he is my favorite big boss. Because not only is he tied to an NPC that we all know and love, our boy Sigvard, but he is a giant Soul of Cinder who I believe failed his friend and turned evil because of, I believe, his resurrection or something. I'm probably getting this wrong. And then Sigvard, you bring him to him so that you can put him at peace. Because I believe in the beginning cutscene is like, you're my old friend. Like, I'm here to uphold my promise, which is like to take you down if you ever turned evil. It's very emotional if you care about the characters and if you care about the story a lot, you're gonna love Yorm in that regard. But if you just like so happen to find him, it's like, oh, cool fight. He's a gimmick boss as well. There's a sword, I believe, called... It's not Stormbreaker, but it's something like that. But you need a special weapon to kill him. Period. You can fight him with bare knuckles. You can fucking ham fist him if you want. But the sword that you get is the best and almost only way to actually kill him. And it's an easy fight. He's a big honking boy, so he can do some damage to you. But he's a good, solid spectacle fight that needs a weapon to actually kill him. So, pretty good, pretty solid. But this is my lineup. This is my lineup for Dark Souls 3 specific bosses. I may or may not do another one that is all the Soulsborne bosses, which would be very interesting because there's like, I think, over 300. But I don't know how that's going to go. But this is going to be my tier list. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. It was actually a lot of fun to make. It's gone way longer than I thought. But then again, if I didn't know anything about Dark Souls, it probably would have been a 10-minute video. I would have gone by looks, if anything. So I hope that my nicknames helped in understanding how these bosses actually worked. But yeah, that is going to be it for me today. So thank you guys so much for watching, for hanging out with me. I hope that you guys had a wonderful, wonderful time watching the video. I would love to hear your guys' opinions. Why am I wrong about Dragon Slayer, and why am I wrong about the Deacons of the Deep? I want to know why you guys, or like just like your own personal list. Like, what is your favorite boss to fight? Because like truly, just by even looking at this, I want to know. Because I want to see how actually you guys just feel about the look of them. Because these are how they look. These are the final forms of every single boss. So it would be a lot of fun to see what you guys come up with. Thank you guys so much for watching, for hanging out with me. I hope that you guys have a wonderful day. As always, drink your water and stay hydrated because you need to keep that body healthy, especially during these trying times. Have a good morning, night, or afternoon, whatever it is. Have a good one. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. Thank you so much for joining. And as always, I will see all of you guys in the next video. Bye-bye. Bye, guys. Bye-bye. Peace out, my dudes. Love you.